The air crackled with tension as two titans of martial arts faced each other across the mat. This wasn't Hollywood choreography or television drama. This was raw, unscripted combat between legends.
In the shadowy corners of the training facility, whispers had been circulating for months. Steven Seagal, the enigmatic action star whose Aikido mastery had captivated millions on screen, would finally test his skills.
Against Gene LeBell, the legendary Judo Gene, whose grappling prowess had become the stuff of martial arts folklore. What unfolded that day would forever change how we understood the collision between traditional martial arts and brutal reality. Steven Seagal entered the arena carrying the weight of Hollywood mystique on his shoulders. Standing 6 feet 4 inches tall with a commanding presence that had intimidated countless movie villains, Seagal moved with the fluid grace that made Aikido appear almost supernatural. His black belt credentials stretched back decades, earned through rigorous training in Japan under some of Aikido's most revered masters. The man had built an empire on his ability to redirect an opponent's energy, using their own force against them with devastating efficiency. Seagal's Aikido style was poetry in motion, circular movements that flowed like water around rocks, joint locks that could incapacitate in seconds, and throws that sent opponents flying through the air as if launched by invisible catapults. His mental game was equally formidable, cultivating an aura of invincibility that psychologically defeated opponents before physical contact even began. Yet beneath this confident exterior lurked potential vulnerabilities. Aikido, for all its elegance, had never been truly tested against elite grapplers who understood ground fighting and submission warfare. Across the mat stood Gene LeBell, a man whose very presence commanded respect from every serious martial artist in America. At 63 years old, Judo Gene had forgotten more about fighting than most people would ever learn. His stocky, powerful frame told the story of 5 decades spent perfecting the art of human chess, anticipating every move, countering every strategy, and finding submission opportunities where others saw only stalemates. LeBell's tournament background read like a martial arts encyclopedia. Multiple judo championships, professional wrestling victories, and countless behind-the-scenes battles with Hollywood tough guys who thought their screen personas translated to real-world capability. His signature techniques were weapons of mathematical precision, hip throws that generated tremendous torque, chokes that cut off blood flow with surgical accuracy, and joint manipulations that could end fights in heartbeats. Where others relied on striking power, LeBell had mastered the intimate warfare of grappling, where technique trumped size and leverage conquered strength. The psychological dimension made this matchup even more compelling. LeBell possessed the quiet confidence of someone who had proven himself countless times when stakes were highest. His weathered hands told stories of victories earned through sweat, pain, and relentless dedication to craft. If Seagal represented the romanticized version of martial arts mastery, LeBell embodied its gritty, unforgiving reality. When combat began, Seagal immediately established his rhythm, moving with characteristic fluidity as he attempted to control distance and timing. His hands danced through Aikido patterns, seeking that perfect moment to redirect LeBell's energy into a spectacular throw. The Hollywood star's confidence was palpable as he employed the circular footwork that had become his trademark, creating angles and opportunities for his devastating wrist controls. But LeBell had faced Aikido practitioners before,
and his strategy became clear within seconds. Rather than engage in Seagal's preferred standing game, the judo master began closing distance with methodical precision. Every step forward was calculated, every feint designed to narrow Seagal's options and force exchanges where grappling skills would determine outcomes. The first major exchange sent shockwaves through everyone watching. Seagal attempted one of his signature entering movements, seeking to capture LeBell's wrist and execute a flowing throw. But LeBell's decades of experience had taught him to recognize such attempts before they fully developed. With timing that bordered on supernatural, he slipped Seagal's control and immediately established his own grips on the action star's gi. What happened next would be debated for years afterward. LeBell's hands moved like those of a master craftsman, finding leverage points and creating opportunities for his preferred techniques. Seagal suddenly finding himself in unfamiliar territory. The turning point came when LeBell successfully closed distance and initiated his ground game. Seagal, whose Aikido training had focused primarily on standing techniques and throws, found himself in a chess match where his opponent had been playing for decades longer. LeBell's positioning was flawless, his weight distribution perfectly calculated to limit Seagal's movement options. As the exchanges continued, LeBell's experience advantage became increasingly apparent. Every escape attempt Seagal made seemed anticipated. Every counter technique neutralized before it could develop. The judo master's patience was infinite. He had learned long ago that rushing led to mistakes, and mistakes against high-level opponents meant defeat. The final sequence unfolded with devastating efficiency. LeBell had maneuvered into a position where his grappling expertise could be fully utilized, and Seagal's Aikido skills were rendered largely ineffective. The submission came not through dramatic flourish, but through the methodical application of technique refined over decades of competition and real-world application. When it ended, Gene LeBell had proven what many in the martial arts community had long suspected, but few had dared to voice publicly. His victory came through superior grappling technique, better understanding of close-quarters combat, and the kind of practical experience that only comes from years of testing skills against world-class opponents. LeBell's ability to neutralize Seagal's Aikido techniques while implementing his own game plan demonstrated why he remained one of martial arts' most respected figures. The fight revealed fundamental truths about martial arts effectiveness and the difference between theoretical knowledge and practical application. LeBell's triumph stood as testament to the importance of cross-training, adaptation, and the humility required for true martial arts mastery. Both men had earned their reputations through different paths, but on this day, experience and proven technique carried the victory.